Remember this guy? Yeah. He's moved his desk over out of the corner. And I'm fairly certain this is now a studio, and that's a TV screen that gives the illusion that there's a window, so he keeps his set, and he's just moved somewhere else, because this is not the same wood that was on the wall. They put the plant there to try and sell it, but this looks like, you think he took a picture, and then this is a set? I don't know. But this is the title of this one. Obviously, he's going to be selling his meditation stuff. But the title of this one is what drove me to this. This is fucking terrifying. Big Pharma Billionaires. That's the name of this one. Almost 250,000 views in one day. 5.3 million subscribers. Eat your heart out, Alex Jones. Yeah.
War, plague, pandemics. There's no doubt that this is a difficult time to be alive. But the one thing we've drawn the line at is rich people harvesting the blood of the poor. What? No. Okay. No, rich people are harvesting poor people's blood now.
RB on billionaires' blood.
Hello there, you
5.3 million people. Yeah, that's right. We've seen this stuff.
3 million awakening wonders. It's been a fantastic week for us. We had a little tweet by Elon Musk. We got a fantastic, if distressing, story today about the harvesting of the poor's blood by, you've guessed,
the harvesting of poor people's blood. They're harvesting it. They're like hooking up poor people to tubes against their will, because, you know, food when it is harvested does not get a choice in the matter.
It's the rich. And before we get into those stories, I want to tell you that I'm all over the UK. Next week,
Yes, yeah, I know. You're all over the UK like Trump is all over Florida.
It's a live experience with meditation. Subscribers
Whoa,
already.
Whoa, what? Hang the fuck out. What?
Questions and answers. There's a link in the description if you fancy coming. If you're not one of our subscribers already, please subscribe now.
Hold on, did it go back far enough? Why is this? Hold on.
On Tees, Plymouth, Bristol, Blackpool, Glasgow.
Yeah,
the show is not just stand-up comedy, it's a live experience with meditation, breath work, questions and answers. There's a link in the description.
Yes, meditation, breath work, you know, the kind of stuff that you use to deal with anxiety when all you do is doom scroll videos that say that with titles like, "This is fucking terrifying." His prices are insane.
If you're not one of our subscribers already,
yeah, I'm not.
Around this channel, stay to the end. You're going to love this video. This is Elon Musk replying.
By the way, they tell you to do that. No, I don't have to see Elon Musk's tweets. Yeah. Elon Musk apparently has signed off on Rusty Rockets.
We have them to communicate truth as best as we understand it, offering you news critiques.
As best as we understand it. It's a high bar.
As best as I can with the limitations within which I live. So, for much of the...
Oh, you mean the limited sources with which you get your news and the obvious angle you read everything that passes by you through, your confirmation bias, and your desire also to make money off the fears of other people. Like, the nerve of this fucker calling out vampires as if his show is not... emotional vampirism. For much of the world, donating blood is purely an act of solidarity. This is Alan McLeod, harvesting the blood of America's poor, the latest stage of capitalism, from the Mint Press News. Now, Mint Press News, hold on. Mint Press News. Why does that sound familiar? Excuse me one second. Looking something up right now. Okay.
You just make...
Hold on. Oh, hold on. Is this... Why does Mint Press News... Oh, he's back in his regular set, which is real. There's the plant. There's where the wood is for real, unlike this one, which is that guy right there. That's a set. Now we're on a set. So he reads Elon Musk's thing, and then he goes to this Mint Press News site, okay? On there, they want war and they're not Russian is the title of this one. They want war and they're not Russian. They want war. They want war, not they're concerned about war. They're, I guess this is about, and this is Russia, Ukraine, mainstream media. These are the 3 hashtags on here because, what site is he reading from?
News, shall we? A study of our nation's, America, a study of our nation's most...
Yeah, America, not Britain. The news media in England is so much fairer than what we have over here in our poser free speech society. Oh, look. New York Times, Washington Post, driving U.S. to war with Russia over Ukraine, source Mint Press News.
Influential media outlets reveals that it's the press that is driving the charge towards war with Russia over...
A study. What study is that? I'm sure we'll see.
Ukraine. Now, obviously, the war between Russia and Ukraine is complicated. It seems, based on what I have seen, that we're talking about a person that's well up for war. It seems to me, from what I have seen, that Russia's actions are horrifying. We are not condoning...
Hold on. Why'd you have to edit something out of that? What was this?
From what I have seen, that Russia's actions are horrifying. We are not condoning...
We are not. Did you cut out the part where you actually said, but you get it, don't you? I mean, be fair. The Ukrainians are standing on his land. We are not condoning. And then you cut that part out? Is that what you cut out?
We're simply explaining.
Yeah, we're not condoning. We're explaining. Look, we're not saying what Ted Bundy did was right. Just that he was horny and he had very little time. And especially for a relationship. So how could you expect any one of his victims to survive? We're not condoning what Richard Speck did, but if you think about it,
how the news is relayed to you and whether or not that news might have an agenda other than, hello, we're the news.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that, about your fucking show. Since you seem to be in the business of terrifying people with a paranoid fantasy that the world is full of monsters, except the actual monsters, that the monsters are the people telling you who the monsters are. And yeah, some of those monsters are monsters, but they're not monsters like the monsters that are telling you that they're monsters. Those people are the real monsters. By the way, you're surrounded by monsters. Are you feeling anxious yet? I have a meditation program. It's not free, but...
Here just to tell you some stuff, and there's no biases at play here. You can trust us. Those guys are bad, we're good. It's as simple as that. We're just questioning that because...
Yeah, we're just questioning that. That's why I had to edit out the part where I said something fucked up. My editor is saving me from myself.
Actions elsewhere are even more difficult to have an opinion on and to intercede with. But because of...
Well, then don't. Because that's not what this article is doing. You're not in the newsrooms you're talking about, presumably, right? You're certainly not in on any of the conversations they're having with Ukrainians when they interview people, but you don't have a fucking problem titling your video, "They want war and they're not Russian."
Data analysis these days, which is mostly used to sell us stuff, you can diagnose reality.
Yeah, fucker, you started this off by selling your shows. You're ending this by selling your podcast. You're selling the show you're doing right now while you're selling the live shows you're doing and your meditation channel. What the fuck are you talking about?
In ways that just wasn't possible a little while ago. Have a listen to this. 90% of recent opinion articles in the New York Times, the Washington Post, and the Wall Street Journal have taken a hawkish view on conflict, written by pundits tied to the national security state. So there you are. That's some information.
Yeah, there you go. It's just written there. Just read it and believe it. Now, the news that's been on for a long time, that you've heard of a lot, and then you judge it based on your experience with it, throw that out the fucking window. Because this website I found, selectively, that I'm giving you cuts from, said this thing, which has got to be true.
conflict, written by pundits tied to the national security state. So there you are. That's some information. Oh no, you're just making it up if the coverage is balanced. Well, no. 90% of it is hawkish or...
No, 90% of it isn't hawkish. Where's the fucking study? What study? You can't say a study. By who? This dude at the Mint Press that watched the fucking news? Jesus Christ, everybody wants us to bomb Russia. That's hawkish. Good
Posts
Lord.
more inclined towards war, and in many cases...
What do you mean? What do you mean more inclined towards war? Based on what? An honest assessment that Putin was going to invade and then he fucking did? Lord almighty.
Pundits tied to the national security state. So there is an attitude...
Yeah, so I said it. It must be true. They're tied to the national security state. And by that, I mean they're former generals, people that, worked in the State Department, people that used to actually interact with some of these people that are in process here, some of the generals over there that are making decisions. So we bring them on to see if they have any kind of insight. They're tied to the national security state.
Of belligerence or sort of warmongering, call it what you will. And there are...
I'm not going to call it anything. Because you gave me 2/2 of a fucking paragraph and you're pointing at it like it's fucking news.
Ties between the people writing that content and the military-industrial complex. And of course, this is happening at...
No. The military-industrial complex. No, that's not the same thing. It's just the people who, they just want to sell missiles. That's why they want to defend Ukraine. They don't give a shit about Ukraine. They just want to sell more missiles because that's how you sell missiles. That's why the American people support this. That's why people are using putting the Slava Ukraine hashtag on them and changing their Twitter profiles to the Ukrainian flag. It's because they just want Raytheon to be able to sell more missiles.
Ties between the people writing that content and the military-industrial complex. And of course, this is...
First of all, fucko. Writing what? These people are being interviewed.
Happening at a time when we're increasingly told that anything outside of the mainstream media is misinformation or disinformation, where Russia...
No, we are not. And Russia today is not outside the mainstream media. It is state-written propaganda equal to what happens in North Korea. Russia has shut off the fucking internet. In Russia, you can't access normal programming. You can probably see this, though, in all fairness. I'm sure you can get Rusty Rockets in Russia.
Hey, with whom I have no alliance, are sort of kicked off the airwaves. Why? Because presumably it's biased.
Presumably, RT is biased. No, not presumably. It is state media. Also... There it is. It's been kicked off the air, guys. You can't even watch it. I don't even know how I found this. I mean, all I had to do was type in rt.com into my browser, and I could watch it live for free and any of these things. But it's been kicked off the air. It's been kicked off the air. Nothing's kicked off the fucking air. But that presumably, Putin hits back at attempts to cancel Russia. Armenian PM phones Putin over Nagorno-Karabakh escalation. Moscow offers update on casualties from the Ukraine conflict. Well, let's see. More than 1,300 servicemen have been killed and nearly 4,000 injured in the offensive in Ukraine, the Russian military says. Yeah, that number's way fucking higher. I don't know why they would have a slant. And the nice thing is that not only has RT been knocked off the air, but it's been knocked off the air in Farsi, in Spanish, in German, French, and I don't know what this is. Hold on. What language is this? Russian.art. Oh, it's in actual Russian. That's funny. Hilarious. Don't allow. English, German, French, Farsi. There you go. Yeah. I mean, honestly, if this place was totally cut off, where would the people writing articles that Russell is citing get any of their information? I just thought, look, I've got a piece of paper in my hand.
Well, that's a bias. So some biases are okay. Some misinformation is okay. Some disinformation.
No. State media is a totally different game than your perceived bias from a news source. The Moscow Times is still available everywhere. But Russia Today, they shut RT America down because they knew that their hosts would eventually come out against the Ukraine war. It had outlived its usefulness. Why would they spend the money over here? Also, the ruble doesn't go as far as it used to.
Propaganda.
And it's and the offices were in New York. Propaganda? Oh, propaganda and free speech, same thing.
Some biases are okay. Some misinformation is okay. Some disinformation and propaganda is okay. So we're not taking a moral stance. We're taking an agenda-oriented stance. So don't...
I see. They chose to invade someplace and shut down their own operation during that process. And it's because we have an agenda. Because the news media has an anti-Russia agenda.
That it's about morality. Just admit straight up, listen, we need to be able to control your consciousness. We need to be able to control your behavior.
No, they don't. Because if they wanted to control your behavior, you wouldn't be able to get the website in the fucking country. If you want to look at it, it's there. If you want to see RT, everything they program in English that they still make of their own free will and accord, you can find it. Nobody fucking shut it down. But nobody has to carry it either.
We're only going to give you information that is favourable to the outcomes we desire. That's what...
No. They're not going to give you all the information anybody ever wants to give you, especially when it's state-funded propaganda. Why is it their responsibility? Go find it your fucking self.
How it does. Opinion columns have overwhelmingly expressed support for sending US weapons and troops to the region. Russia has...
to the region. Same thing. Russia has universally been presented as the aggressor in this dispute. They fucking invaded a country. Of course they are. That is universally recognized. You know what? Even the Russians know they invaded. Universally been presented as the aggressor.
Being presented as the aggressor in this dispute, with media glossing over NATO's role in amping tensions while barely mentioning the US collaboration with neo-Nazi elements within the Ukraine ruling coalition. We did videos on these.
Yeah. I mean, these children, they deserve to be bombed because there are Nazis in the country. Now, granted, a bunch of them were sent there by Russia in an attempt to destabilize the country, financed and fomented in there. But also, the NATO storyline. All right, we've done this before. I wasn't going to even do more of this, whatever. Russia, NATO, founding. Where is it? There you go. NATO, Founding Act, 1997. Hold on, let me stretch this out a little bit. May 27th, 1997. Founding Act on mutual relations, cooperation, and security between NATO and the Russian Federation, signed in Paris, France. NATO and Russia do not consider each other as adversaries. By the way, both parties signed this. This was not a verbal agreement. They signed this. See this part? Signed in Paris, France? Russell and all the fuckheads at the Mint Press. Principles. You can read through this if you want. I posted it before. To achieve the aims of this act, NATO and Russia will base their relations on a shared commitment to the following principles. You want to hear them? Here they are. These are the following principles that Russia in 1997 under Boris Yeltsin signed in agreement with NATO that regarded all NATO expansion, all interpersonal security in the region. Development on the basis of transparency of a strong, stable, and enduring and equal partnership of cooperation to strengthen security and stability in the Euro-Atlantic area. Meaning NATO and Russia can be and should be partners against the threat of Middle Eastern terrorism in this case, or the threat of encroachment by militarism by China on, that kind of stuff. So this part is kind of this again. Russia signed this fucking document, Russell, refraining from the threat or use of force against each other as well as against any other state, its sovereignty, its territorial integrity, or political independence in any manner inconsistent with the United Nations Charter and the Declaration of Principles guiding relations between participating states contained in the Helsinki Final Act. Russia agreed that they would not invade anybody's sovereignty. In 1997, they signed it. And wait for it. But they moved the NATO groups, and that's why they got. You can understand why they get nervous about that. Meanwhile, this was in a partnership with fucking Russia, which eventually would have been part of NATO had they not been assholes during this whole thing. Respect for sovereignty, independence, and territorial integrity of all states and their inherent right to choose the means to ensure their own security, the inviolability of borders, and people's right of self-determination as enshrined in the Helsinki Final Act and other OSCE documents. The Russia signed off on any country that wanted to join NATO could. You have the right to choose however you want to guarantee your security, whether by being in NATO or not. Putin didn't get in and rescind this. He didn't tear this up. He didn't say, fuck the NATO founding agreement. That would have started a whole conversation. It would have made everybody realize that he had other intentions. This is still in effect. On a legal basis, they have signed this founding agreement, and they have agreed to the Helsinki Act and the other OSCE security documents that they signed. So fucking blow me about this NATO. They told them that when the USSR still existed, that they weren't going to push into these other states like Ukraine and Latvia and Lithuania and all these areas. Well, yeah, because those countries didn't fucking exist at the time. Why would that even be a conversation? The USSR still existed.
Not because we are supportive of Russia, we are not, but because we are interested.
Yes, no, yes you are. Excusing someone's behavior is support. Especially when it's as violent and vile as this is.
In understanding information in a multivalent way, looking at the numerous sides.
Yeah, there's multivalence. Like you're in a basement and a bomb's heading towards your apartment building and you're 8, and Putin was very upset that Poland, Latvia, and Lithuania were part of NATO, and he got very anxious. And as an 8-year-old, you have to understand that they're going to have to strafe bomb your entire fucking town to claim a land bridge so that they can ship oil to the Black Sea using Crimea as a military base. And there's multivalence in this. Fuck you, dude.
Best understand reality, if there is such a thing. Mint Press
apparently conducted a study. Oh. It's their own fucking study. They conducted a study. And in their opinion, what was the control group on this? Russell's podcast? 2 guests on Joe Rogan? The fuck? Oh my God. These dipshits. Really? Wonder what the standard for this fucking study was. Anybody? They read some stuff and went, see?
Conducted a study of 3 of the most prominent and influential American outlets, the New York Times, the Washington Post, and the Wall Street Journal. Together, these 3 outlets often set the agenda for the rest of the media and could be said to be a reasonable representation of the corporate media spectrum as a whole. Using the...
Explain what you mean by corporate. Are they incorporated? Is that what your standard for corporate is? Because Mint Press is more than likely incorporated. Are they corporate? Or is it corporate interests? And by that, does that mean they run ads for fucking Frito-Lay and insurance companies to sell the newspaper? And therefore, they have to, you're assuming that the Wall Street Journal, which is owned by Rupert Murdoch, has a distinct slant away. What is that, the 10%? That's the 10%, isn't it? Using the oh my God, this is the study. Using the search term Ukraine in the Factiva Global News database, the opinion pieces. So 90% of the coverage is a search of the opinion pieces. Published in a 3-week period. What 3-week period? In the lead up, where people are like, he's gonna fucking attack, or during the actual attack. I don't know, they have a hawkish stance during the bombing. They seem to think we should be sending these folks stuff. Okay, maybe it's beforehand. Let's see.
Term Ukraine in the Factiva Global News database, all opinion pieces on the conflict published in a 3-week period were read and studied. This gave us...
They were read and studied. So they like kind of stroked their Stalin beards, right?
Of 91 articles, in total 15 in the Times, 49 in the Post and 27 in the Journal. Overall, the tone from the 3 newspapers studied was exceedingly hawkish, with around 90% of the columns expressing a get tough message. There was little...
Again, fucko, when? Was this in fucking November when he hadn't had the country surrounded? Or was this as he was increasingly putting troops there, or when he had the troops in Belarus and they were supposed to leave and they never did and people went, oh fuck, this is an attack? Or was it after the fucking invasion? Or are you just mixing and matching and that people going, shit, we need to get these people some munitions, they're under attack by the Russians, that's hawkish? The fuck? What's the percentage of hawkish articles in Russian media?
Variation among the outlets.
By the way, the country that attacked Ukraine.
In their tone. You've seen those clips, right, where newscasters are talking about the pandemic or war or whatever, and you just see them saying the same stuff, parroting the same stuff.
It's weird. It's almost like they had the same information and they were getting it out to their audience, which is slightly different from other people's audience, and they put it in a slightly different way because they're that person's trusted news source. Unless you're Fox News, in which case you're lying to everybody about vaccines while being vaccinated yourself.
It does come from various centralized agencies. There is a distillation of...
No, it doesn't. Getting information from the CDC is not getting directives from the CDC. That's why they tell you it comes from the CDC, dummy. So you, as the reader, can go, well, this comes from the CDC. I don't believe a single thing the CDC says. Or you can go, I trust the CDC. I will judge this article therein. I will not say that I trust this writer and I had no idea that what they were saying was from the CDC, even though there are fucking links in every article. There's none in this one, by the way. This piece of paper that Russell is reading to us. Did you see sorry, let me check. Show more. New study reveals references. Mint Press News. Okay, so this is the article. Let's see. Control. Open link in new tab. ABC News Go. Open link. Okay, so he references both of these. Mint Press study. Help us fight the decline of internet freedom. MPN News is the site. You can donate. Comes in multiple languages. Weird. Chinese, Russian, and Spanish. That's the only, propaganda war. Mint Press study. New York Times, Washington Post, driving U.S. to war with Russia over Ukraine by Alan McLeod. Well, let's check it out, shall we? I mean, there's no reason why we have to look at that. I guess this is the rest of the article. Okay, here we go. Periodic hysteria. This isn't slanted from the beginning. Amid tough talk from European American leaders, a new Mint Press study of our nation's most influential media outlets. By the way, February 4th. Fuck you. Periodic hysteria. Okay, yet this is far the panic of supposedly imminent over a supposedly imminent Russian invasion, which, by the way, ain't supposedly. It actually fucking happened. In fact, warning of a hot war in Europe is a near yearly occurrence at this point. In 2015, well, that 2015 isn't a year ago, dum-dum. Outlets such as Reuters and New York Times claim that Russia was massing troops and heavy firepower, including they did. They put 47 troops there, and this was after they'd already invaded Crimea and Donbass. In 2018, they were again up in arms over a fresh Russian buildup, this time of 80,000 military units. And in the spring of last year, it was widely reported, for instance, by the way, when they invaded Ukraine the first time, they did 3 buildups before they came in. It was, went in, they pulled back, went in, pulled back, and everybody's like, oh, they're going to do this again. And they're hoping everybody basically lowered their guard. The Ukrainians, not the media. They don't give a fuck. That Russia had amassed armies totaling over 100,000 units on Ukraine's border, signaling war was imminent. Therefore, we're actually considerably fewer Russian units than there were even 11 months ago. Yes, this was a drawdown, guys. Never mind that, 40,000 extra troops and they were moving into Belarus. Thus, many readers will be forgiven for thinking it's Groundhog Day again. This is all going to be bullshit. February 4th, let's go back in time to a time when we were all so innocent. All right. Fucking prick. All right. Russia, for its part, has repeatedly rejected all allegation and plans to attack Ukraine. Well, that settles it. Describing them as fiction. Talks about coming war are provocative by themselves. The U.S. seems to be calling for this, wanting and waiting for war to happen. As if you want to make your speculations come true, said Russia's ambassador to the United Nations, Vasily Nebenzia. Perhaps more surprisingly, the Ukrainian government appears to agree, recognizing the NATO conflict would prove devastating to both Russian and Ukrainian economies, and that even the saber-rattling and prospect of such conflict is already having an impact on business. So they searched that these hawkish voices and dovish voices. How do you define hawkish and dovish? Using the search term Ukraine, this is the part he reads. They were read in studies. This gave an example of these things. See the attached viewable spreadsheet. Well, shit. Let's see it. Attached viewable spreadsheet. In a Dropbox. Hold on. I'm going to open up my Dropbox on. Oh. Weird. I guess it's not attached. Yeah. This is what I got. Error. We can't find what you're looking for. I'm sorry. Whoops. All right. Overall, the tone from them was exceedingly hawkish. Around 90% of them saying, get tough. There's little or no variation among the outlets in their tone. Putin has aims beyond Ukraine. Checking him right now is crucial, ran the headline of former General Wesley Clark's Washington Post article. Max Boot said Putin definitely wants to resurrect the Soviet Empire. Hold on. See if we can go back a little time. This is, let's see, when did that come out? That's February 20th. Okay. Hold on one second. There you go. This was 20 days later. After this dude's article. This is about 2 weeks later. A little over. Guys, these people are over the top. Katrina Vanden Heuvel in the Post, let's see. The little pushback to the incessant drumbeats for war came from voices such as Peter Beinart in the Times and Katrina Vanden Heuvel in the Post, or from some more isolationist conservative voices. However, these were few and far between. It was almost as if everybody went, oh, motherfucker, he's planning on doing it. The intelligence points this way. The best short-term response to Putin's threats is one the Biden administration is last beginning to consider. The permanent deployment in large numbers of U.S. NATO frontline NATO states from Estonia to Romania, arms shipments to Kyiv, which so far have been measured in pounds, not tons, need to become a full-scale airlift. It couldn't be that they were responding. The sitting U.S. senator said on live TV that the use of first strike nukes wasn't off the table. So what? That everyone in Putin's cabinet has said that. We have one person saying, can you believe it? And this is Biden shakes hands with the Ukrainian fascist leader. Yeah, this is Tienbach. This is the guy who ended up being an outsider in this when they're like, he's meeting everybody there. He's glad handing their new government, for fuck's sake. This is after Yanukovych got deposed. Oh, and this is Victoria Nuland, apparently enjoying watching cops shoot an innocent teenager. Watches cadets at the Ukrainian Police Academy receiving training from American policemen in Kiev, Ukraine. By the way, this is what's keeping them alive. Since 2014, the Ukrainian government has pursued a campaign of privatization as well as entering into deals with the EU that Yanukovych previously rejected. I wonder why they got rid of him. It was also aggressively purged the Russian language from schools and media. No, it hasn't. They established Ukrainian as the language of Ukraine, and you can still do it. They just don't teach it. Jailed opposition politicians, opposition meaning Russian sock puppets, and shut down media outlets opposing it. You mean Russia Today, state-run? Around 1/3 of Ukrainians speak Russian as their first language, and Ukrainian as their second language, as they see themselves as Ukrainians. This is the same argument Jimmy Dore makes, by the way. This context was barely referenced in the three newspapers, but when it was usually described in glowing terms. Also, by the way, one of the reasons why 1/3 of Ukrainians speak Russian is because the Russians have been moving in Ukrainians in mass into the areas they claim. So they bring in Russians from the homeland and fill the area. They're not the first ones. Not seeing fascism. I see not seeing. See what they're doing. Fascism where it is and seeing where it is not. This is, I think, is this in Charlotte? Volunteers for the ultra-far right Azov Battalion at a rally marking Fatherland Defender Day in Kiev in Ukraine, October 14, 2016. Yes, these are outliers. We had these assholes ginned up by Russia in our own country. Basically, these are the Jews will not replace us crowd. You know who replaced their president? A Jew. Piss off. Blowback. An inside look at how U.S.-funded fascists in Ukraine mentor U.S. white supremacists. All right. We taught all the Ukrainians, and some of them are bad, and therefore we taught the bad ones, and the ones that are good deserve to die. Right. And this is, anyways, this is pipeline politics and cracks in the NATO. Cracks in the NATO alliance. NATO Secretary General makes opening remarks at the meeting of them in session 1, April 4th, 2019. All right. Putin has succeeded in creating his worst strategic outcome, unifying NATO. Right. Yet this seems like wishful thinking. This article is not aging well, Russell. Just saying. Hold on. Where is this guy? Nope, this is the one. So these are his, and then the ABC News Go. What was that one? Russia's invasion of Ukraine sends news networks' ratings up. Russia's invasion of Ukraine sent television viewers to the cable news networks for updates, with Fox News Channel gaining the largest audience and CNN the most dramatic increase. Yeah, there's fucking news happening, so people went and watched the news. And why is that something? Why? Look, and then my weekly meditation podcast, Above the Noise, is available. And of course, the noise is, of course, this.
Prior to it reaching media outlets, there is all sorts of cross-collaboration. I don't imagine that they sit around going, why don't we this week all publish an article criticising Russell Brand?
Yeah, they do. Because it reaches a point where they're paying attention. You've got 5 fucking million subscribers. You didn't have those before. You also changed your effective messaging to something that's fucking loony.
For being a conspiracy theorist, but by coincidence, in one day, they do tend to publish several articles from that perspective. So when...
Yeah, it's weird how everybody started talking about Cosby again out of nowhere just because one of his victims came out. Isn't that weird? It's funny how after years of not really paying attention to Jeffrey Epstein,
something serious and important and impactful, like who we should go to war with and how we should regard an international conflict. Do you think it's possible that the many...
Hold on. Who we should go to war with? We're not Russia, fucko.
dissecting interests might align in order to get their agenda met. The little pushback.
Yes, the people who believe in democracy and don't want to see a sovereign country straight bombed out of existence and don't like the images of death on their screens that came from one country invading another, who don't like it when our country does it and have voted in a way over time to make sure that that happens less and less, if hopefully never. We definitely, while we've been busy doing that kind of voting and that kind of protesting and that kind of standing up for our values, also see that when other countries do that shit, we support the victim in this circumstance. What's victims, though? I mean, honestly.
The incessant drumbeats for war were few and far between. And of course, what it does, as we've discussed before, is the more that you...
First of all, drumbeats for war, shoring up your defenses is not a drumbeat for war. It's a recognition of a threat. Telling someone that, let's say crime is up in your area, and saying, man, you should probably have a shotgun in the house. That's not a drumbeat to go on a vigilante killing spree. That's a defensive measure, and it's a huge difference between a house with a gun in it and a house with no gun in it, right? You would say that's a drastic change, but that is not like, yeah, I want to go buy a shotgun so that I hope they come through my door, like some fucking like Rittenhouse lunatic that apparently Russell thinks we all are.
Bellicose, belligerent, pugilistic language, the more you feel like, well, this is what's normal.
Well, what? Why is shoring up defenses pugilistic? Yeah, why do you keep telling that guy when he's getting punched in the face to put his hands up? Why are you starting a fight? Why are you telling the people that are about to get punched to duck? Look out. Why are you picking this fucking fight? I mean, he can't be this fucking dumb, can he? I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt when I think he's a grifter in this, but he might just be fucking stupid and awful. I mean, the lack of moral care in this is grotesque. This is not one of those like, oh God, Bosnia, Herzegovina, they're back and forth. Kenya, there's a civil war going on. There's people within there that believe they're inside a singular country. This is another country who knows fucking full well where the borders of another country were and decided to attack. Piss off at zero provocation. Well, I mean, but except Poland in 1999. Get fucked.
Remember that our entire way of life is a kind of selected choice. Like, you know, the going to work, the food that we eat. We've been bamboozled and baffled and corralled into particular lifestyle choices. So when it comes again to something significant like war...
What? What do you mean we've been bamboozled? Into eating and working? We've been bullshit. Guys, don't you realize that... You know, these nation states have been created around us. We had no say in any of this. And there's really no difference between the U.S. Constitution and any other system of government in the world. There's no difference between it and the parliamentary system in England. And nobody gets to have a choice in that or pick out their leaders or whatever. And you might as well be living in Iran at this point. And at this point, I mean, you've been lied to that you should be eating and doing something productive to make a living. What?
Particular perspectives that are continually presented, and pointing that out does not make you a conspiracy theorist. It just makes you someone who's...
You're not just pointing out that there are perspectives that aren't being shown. They want war, and they're not Russian, in all fucking caps. They want war. Not they're okay if it happens because it benefits them. They could, no, they want it. And by the way, none of the articles they're citing are talking about people who want war. They seem to be concerned that one is going to happen, and if you don't prepare for it, you're going to be fucking killed by a psychopath. How is that wanting war?
A bloody idiot. There was essentially complete unanimity in presenting Russia and not NATO as the aggressor.
That's because they are. And you know what? I got news for you. Jake Tapper didn't tell me that. Rachel Maddow didn't tell me that. Certainly as fuck Tucker Carlson didn't tell me that. You know who told me that? You know who told me that Russia is the aggressor in this case? Fucking Russia. Russia defined itself as the aggressor in this situation. Russia declared war on Ukraine. This motherfucker gave a speech about it. They are the aggressor. They invaded a country. They moved troops to the edge of a country that was not in the process of joining NATO. 87 of the 91 articles presenting the issue as such apparently got it right.
87 of the 91 articles presenting the issue as such. There was overwhelming support for sending in both huge quantities of what the Biden administration has termed lethal aid. Oh my God, the language, lethal aid.
Yeah. Military aid, lethal aid. Now there's military aid that isn't lethal. You're aware of that, right? So military aid isn't enough. Lethal aid, there's a legal distinction too in how committed you are. And saying that you're going to and actually doing it is specifically a reflection of the threat.
Perhaps Orwell's greatest legacy is that he told us that language...
Oh, fuck off with the 1984 shit. Lethal aid isn't doublespeak. It's direct fucking speak. You are aiding them in a battle. You are providing them with, there's defensive weapons, and then there are lethal aggressive weapons. The lethal aid, there's a difference between bombs and shields, helmets and guns. It's a legal distinction.
Would become weaponized and used to obscure and create veils of a...
Yes. Orwell warned us about your show, Russell. You fucking clown.
Around truth, like that language itself will become a kind of intoxicant. Then you hear a phrase.
Yeah, it's almost like
aid.
assholes.
We got to give them aid.
Yeah, we got to help them. What do you want? Lethal help? We are giving them aid. We give them military aid, and then we give them non-military aid. We give them humanitarian aid is another one, for example. By the way, who thinks that a humanitarian with limited options might give a woman being sexually assaulted a gun to defend herself, and in that moment, you could call that humanitarian aid. She doesn't have to use it, but she's got it, and she can drive away her attacker now, or her attackers. Maybe some people, I mean, there's your Orwellian language. Jesus.
What is lethal aid? Is it missiles?
Yeah. It's missiles. It's anti-aircraft weapons. It's javelins. It's stingers. It's rifles and ammunition. What the fuck?
Guns in a war zone, yeah, but it's aid. Lethal aid sounds like a can of soda that you might give a man on death row. And also deploying American...
And also deploying American troops in the region. Region, by the way, Trump took 10,000 soldiers out of the region, and they're just going back. A move that would rapidly escalate the threat of terminal nuclear war. We did, and it didn't. Terminal? Is there a non-terminal nuclear war?
In the region, a move that would rapidly escalate the threat of terminal nuclear war. I heard yesterday that when people...
Wait a minute. Hold on. Where's the 1984 reference to terminal nuclear war? As opposed to what? Temporary nuclear war? Non-lethal nuclear war?
Phrase no-fly zone. They go, yeah, no-fly zone, that's a good thing. But if people say, do you want Russian jets shot out of the sky in order to establish a no-fly zone? People go, bloody hell, that sounds a bit aggressive. Yeah, that's what a no-fly zone means. That means we shoot down Russian jets. You know that image of a...
Yeah, we know, fucko. You're talking about the Biden position in this.
Cloud that haunted you throughout your adolescence. Yeah, I remember that guy. Did you like it? No. Do you want it? No-fly zone? Well, that sounds fun. The Post went much further.
no-fly zone has been a term in military use for a long time. They didn't invent it for this. Hooks went much for, oh yeah. With one column, oh dear. One column wrote this in an opinion piece in the United States of America. I thought you weren't supposed to be able to hear all the different takes on stuff. One of these columns said this. One.
With one column demanding that the US send around 85,000 soldiers to the region immediately. A figure that is said must be matched by other NATO members as well. What are qualifications for these terrifying military announcements? I went to journalism school on a Bill Gates scholarship. However, the journal went...
Hang the fuck out. It's an opinion piece. Who wrote it? That's not a journalist. You can't just say one piece. God damn.
Furthest of all, calling for the US to be turned into a global military state in order to fight 2 world wars at once. Page 1.
Is that what they said? Hold on. Sorry. However, the journal went furthest of all, calling for the US to be turned into a global military state in order to fight 2 world wars at once. Do you don't think that's a perception at all? That we'd be turned into a global military state? What do you think? We're gonna in the United States, everybody gets a gun and they're gonna send all Americans to fight in China and in Russia at the same time, and it's just time to rise up and fuck everybody up. Like, and by the way, this I'm gonna go out on a limb and say the Journal in their opinion piece that they let somebody post, what is it, fucking Bolton? That they posted this, that the Wall Street Journal put up, Rupert Murdoch's fucking paper was the most violent in its suggestion, and one column. And by the way, it said the Journal is calling for it, not one of the opinion pieces, which is like, here's the opinions, there's a spectrum of opinions.
To be turned into a global military state in order to fight 2 world wars at once. Page 1. Turn the US into a...
Hi, fucko. It's not page 1. It's the opinion pieces. They're later in the paper. Also, that's not journalism. That's not people doing reflective stories about the actual conflict and what's actually going on. Secondly, if you're going to hold up a fucking piece of paper or put one on screen, then put up the article they are talking about. Because you referenced 2 things in this. One was their article, and the other one was an ABC thing about ratings. So, let's see. He's ready to stand up Germany. War Machines Checklist. This doesn't seem slanted at all. If Russian troops are mostly ordinary and not dissimilar to those that have happened every year since 2014, what explains the media circus? Yeah, I don't know. Word on the street that Putin's planning a speech where he's going to fucking invade and he believes Ukraine is part of it already and he's been saying it all along, but this time he's serious. A policy report prepared by Biden in March by NATO think tank, the Atlantic Council. Prepared for Biden by the Atlantic Council. Biden and Ukraine, a strategy for new administration, lays out a set of goals for the new president to achieve under its key recommendations headline. A number of actions that Biden could take. Among them are working with Congress to increase military assistance to Ukraine to $500 million a year. Well, yeah, we blew past that. Deepen Ukraine's integration with NATO. All right, that's the Atlantic Council. So fucking what? By potentially establishing a permanent U.S. military presence in the country, launching a NATO membership action plan for Ukraine. If Russia remains intransigent, stay the course on Nord Stream 2, and a strategic approach to sanctions are also included in the list of bullet points. Okay, this is the policy report from the Atlantic Council. Biden and Ukraine, a strategy for the new administration by Anders Oslund, Daniel Fried, Melinda Herring, with a herring, John E. Herbst, William Taylor, and Alexander Vershbow. This is March 5th, 2021. Executive summary. This is their, I'll just download it. I'm going to keep it. There you go. Sorry. There you go. Download. Thank you. I will have that for later and read it. Unlike Russell, who will just point to a piece of paper that's a printout of the article that he is reading from.
Global militarist state immediately to fight 2 world wars at once. And then over here on page 2, Walmart got some good deals on, and then it's supposed to be...
Yeah, that's what they want to... They're just selling a world war so that they can sell more stuff at Walmart. Fucking the paint huffing going on. Is there a chance that there's like carbon dioxide coming off from the chopped wood in his house?
Weather. Meanwhile, in the United States, despite the media's saber-rattling, there is limited public appetite for any conflict with Russia. A Rasmussen poll found that only 31% of Americans think US troops should be sent to...
Yeah, you know who's in that 31%? The President of the fucking United States. Or actually in the 69% rather. The rest of it, I don't know who the fuck those people are. They're 15-15 split the edges of conflict. Yeah, we should probably put them there. Well, you know what that would mean? No, I don't. Oh, well then, no.
That statistic shows plainly that the mainstream media don't...
Oh, that statistic needed an edit, apparently.
US troops should be sent to Ukraine. That statistic shows plainly that the mainstream media don't listen to you. 31% of people, yeah, all right, so that means 69% don't want a war. And what's the mainstream media's response?
The President of the United States and the policy of the American government is in line with that 69%. You fucking tool. There's difference between sending... I think this asshole is like pulling a net zero Republican thing where they don't understand what net zero means. They think net zero means zero. This asshole thinks that troops to the region means troops to Ukraine. He's not making a distinction.
Yeah, come on, let's have a war. Like every other institution, whether it's apparent democracy or whatever, they don't listen to you. And all you're thinking right now is...
The fuck are you talking about? They do listen. That is exactly the current policy. That's what it was in February when this fucking article came out, and that's the policy right now.
It's 69%, aren't you? Don't be so childish. That's how come they're winning. Raytheon CEO.
Again, who gives a shit what Raytheon says? But Joe Biden is in line with the 69% of Americans. And by the way, I don't know if that poll has increased or decreased. Currently, my guess is as people found out more about it and understand how well the Ukrainians are doing, that we don't want to send troops into that area at all. And people are getting educated quickly about the circumstance, and that number's more than likely going down.
Greg Hayes said in January, Raytheon's a weapons manufacturer. They send a lot of lethal aid into wedding parties all over the world. I fully expect we're going to...
Yeah, that's what they do. Yeah, that's the, I mean, it's the purpose everybody at Raytheon goes to work every day. Look, I don't want to defend Raytheon for fuck's sake, but the only reason Russell Brand is living in that big, nice house is because Raytheon gear is protecting the UK all the time. You don't think there are people that would want to decimate the area around where Russell lives? You know that the only thing that keeps them at bay, besides a liberal world order, which he is also against, is those very weapons, which he would like use them right away. Don't let them get my nice multi-million-dollar house. I fully expect we're going to see some benefit from the Ukraine crisis.
Some benefit from the Ukraine crisis. You bet your ass. Raytheon and...
He just said that? Why was it in brackets? Why was it in brackets? He didn't say the Ukraine crisis. What did he say it in relation to? The Ukraine crisis because they're going to sell some shit? Or people are going to recognize that your stuff is helping the good guys and it might help your image? And the fact that your stuff and the stuff you make for the United States and our allies is actually superior to the shit that these people are up against, and they're also not dumb rockets that blow up fucking apartment buildings randomly. They hit what thing supposed to hit and no more. Is that maybe, or just the Ukraine crisis, just because mean to Russia, ching ching.
Grumman stocks are currently approaching all-time highs. Weapon industry funded media like Politico is...
Hold on. Politico is funded. Okay, hold on. Raytheon stock. Let me see if I can get this for you 1 second. Here's Raytheon's current stock. It's $102.43. 5 days ago, 1 month ago, 6 months ago, year to date. Oh, so I guess this the whole Raytheon thing started back here. Apparently, something happened right here that made people think this is when Marjorie Taylor Greene bought in. Then it plateaued and went down a little bit. I don't know. Oh, I guess we're not going to be. Oh, and then it went back. So it's not higher than it was necessarily here. It's a couple bucks. Let's see about the year. Let's see a 5-year. That's how at the max, however far it was. So basically, there's 84. That's 88. And in $2002, that's the equivalent of. I can't get to the top of that. I don't know why. $88.72 in $1999, whereas it's $102 in $2022, which is obviously it was doing well better in 1999, pre-2001. Weird that here's this is where's 2000 is 2001? No, there's 2000. There you go. 2001. This is there you go. September. Hold on. So June, August. Here we go. All right. September 7th, 2001. That's a couple days before 9/11. Then 9/11 happened. And then, oh my God, we're going to war in this thing. And then 2005, I guess we're not using those things. And then it went down. And then it went like. And all time, it's gone up $80 since its initial public offering. In its time. This is the is this projection over time? They're expecting it to go. That's 102. It's hovering around there basically. All-time highs. It's gone from $88 to $102 in 20 fucking years. Yeah, it's like I mean it's the new Google.
By the weapon industry, what kind of reporting are you going to get from them? We believe firmly there should.
Oh, and that's the Politico had the article that was written. There was a weapons industry funded media like Politico, right?
All time.
Which, by the way, they list if the article is funded by that or the study is funded by that, so you can factor that in. Whereas in any of these other countries, he's currently filleting. It's assumed.
Weapon industry funded media like Politico. Politico is funded by the weapon industry. What kind of reporting are you going to get from them?
Yeah, what kind of reporting are you going to get from fucking Politico? I mean, honestly, let's see. Let's see what Politico's got. It's probably all Raytheon and we need to bomb shit. Let's see. Obviously, there you go. I mean, look at the warmongering. Russia's Kiev offense stalls as Ukrainians counterattack in the south. I mean, it's like sports. They're just for it. Russia's war on Ukraine, and they would call it that so they could sell more stuff. What's these other stories? Too big to fail. White House careful not to target food companies as it pressures Putin. I don't know what that's Americally. Biden summit with Southeast Asian leaders is postponed. That's probably Northrop Grumman's behind that. Macron says France will spearhead operation to evacuate Mariupol like a fucking beast. EU chiefs channel energy at cutting off Russian gas. You know, because that's, well... I mean, most of these battleships run on oil anyways, right? Probably EU pledge and U.S. pledge to seek new natural gas supplies to displace Russia. How loyal are Ukraine's Western friends? This picture, obviously, this is the story around the Supreme Court is turning into one big D.C. prep school. Cleveland wants to become the kindest place in the country. Fucking Northrop Grumman. Raytheon is opening a factory there with smile bombs. Trump's fate may rest in her hands, but James's fraud claims are tough to prove. Why historians should be grateful Ginny Thomas texts like a teenager. House GOP vows grand plan not obstruction is his eyes majority. McCarthy nudges convicted Rep. Fortenberry to resign. You know, you're not going to get anything real. A deadlock on Jackson SCOTUS nomination. What happens if the committee ties? It won't. National Security Daily. That's here you go. Select industry. From sit room to the E-ring, an inside scoop on defense, national security, and foreign policy. That's what they're talking about with it. Sit room here to sign up. What Biden means by sanctions never deter. Yeah, they eventually Putin will live just fine, but what it eventually does is make the people rise up, hopefully, and overturn their government. You know, because they don't get to play in everybody. They want to play in everybody's sandbox, and when they're not allowed anymore. Become a global insider. This the situation reporter site. We will only cite official sources. As always, take all figures, assessment statements with a healthy dose of skepticism. Weird. What kind of reporting are? Hey, Russell. What kind of reporting are you going to get from the Politico? You think they're going to tell you the truth? They literally start the articles off, the inbox, with, we will only cite official sources. As always, take all figures, assessments, and statements with a healthy dose of skepticism. Son of a bitch.
We believe firmly there should be a war. Why is that? Because if there isn't one, we're going to have to lose Janice from accounts. And I like her. Weapon industry-funded media like Politico publish content wondering whether the US should rattle Putin's cage. Do you know what we should do? We should rattle his cage. Over the last week or so...
that was a weird edit.
Rattle Putin's cage. Do you know what we should do? We should rattle his cage. Over the last week or so, and I don't want to bother you with it, I've been being called a conspiracy theorist and stuff. You've got Politico being funded by the weapons industry. I mean, doesn't that sound like a conspiring?
No, because they tell you to take their reports with a healthy dose of skepticism in these situations. And also, the weapons industry, not to fall too far into the guns don't kill people, people kill people zone of things, but how you use these things and to what end actually matter. And a lot of times you have to make, if you're a fucking adult, a decision about who you want in charge of these things, because they will exist. Because there is not a world where China and Russia don't exist as a military threat currently or even over the last 20 years. Period. End of story. They're not warlike because we made them.
A sort of a desired mutual outcome from two powerful entities, Politico and the weapons industry. Does pointing that out make me a conspirator? I've got a theory. What's the theory? Well, it's crazy. The weapons industry. The weapons industry. They're giving Politico money, right? Yeah, they are doing that. We've got facts.
It's not hidden. They tell you on the articles that are funded, and then they tell you when they cite things, that when they're citing these official sources, you have to judge them based on your opinion of the validity of those sources. And then they give you headlines. A Polish site, Ukrainians trained to fly drones for rescue missions and targeting Russians. Like a weapon, Ukrainians use social media to stir resistance. Ukrainian refugees find easier path to enter the U.S. at the Mexican border. Of course, that's what Rupert Murdoch's paper says. The blah, blah, blah part is that there is some sort of version of reality where this is a goddamn secret.
See that? We got the bank accounts. Yep, that's all true. Right, but what if, Politico, when they're writing about the war, like they say stuff that would be good for the weapons industry.
Yeah, but they also say stuff that wouldn't be good for the weapons industry. And they're not just they're not just. This isn't about Politico's rush to fucking war. Hold on one second. Whoops, wrong page. I'm sorry, I shrunk him down. That's their National Security Daily. This is not. The stalemate Russian assault has been a major headache for the Kremlin, but U.S. officials warn of new troops on the move towards Ukraine. U.S.-based Cargill and other large agribusinesses are still operating in Russia, arguing they're essential to the global food supply. The Biden administration isn't trying to stop them. Yeah, because it's fucking food. It's good for big wheat.
Son of a bitch. Sorry, it's my new meds. I got him off Pfizer. Hey! Should rattle Putin's cage.
I see. So a little thrown in there about his Pfizer makes you crazy because you took a drug and it made you insane. Throw that in there. Does anybody know which vaccine he got? Should rattle Putin's cage and journalists at the White House press conference continue to goad the administration into more aggressive posture?
Journalists at White House press conferences continue to goad the administration into more aggressive posturing. Go on. Oh, I'm a very old man. Go on, posture.
Oh, all right. Ageism. Sure. And the aggressive posture has to be physical in this regard, as opposed to militaristic and strategic. But this is Russell letting you know that Joe Biden is an old man who they believe is frail and has to be told what to do.
Learned this one from looking at my son's laptop.
Oh, there you go. And also, what laptop, fucko? Oh, and this is the ABC News.
News viewership has jumped during Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Oh, what a coincidence. CNN.
Yeah, what a coincidence. There's fucking news on.
Fox and MSNBC collectively averaged 6.4 million viewers in prime time. That's up from their January average of 4 million. CNN's audience soared from 633,000 in January to 1.75 million last week, up 178%. And
yeah, it's almost like the news only rates when there's something worth paying attention to. And the rest of the time, one of the reasons why their viewership was down was because Joe Biden, as president, has kept the normal Americans from having to white-knuckle watch the news every fucking night. For the last 4 fucking years, we've had these kind of numbers in the news because we wake up every morning going, what this fucker tweet today? And we don't have to worry about that with Biden. We can get back to our fucking lives. We got vaccinated. Businesses are opening up. That's why the rating's down. But when something happens, I mean, the same shit would be, he might as well be talking about the OJ trial.
MSNBC had 980,000 for its war coverage, up 51% over January. But to make a connection between those rising viewer figures and increased advertising revenue that would come from the kind of organizations that also might be...
Yeah, but they're not going to start a fucking war to sell toilet paper, you asshole. They just want the best coverage of a breaking news story. This is the premise here. This is the premise. They want war and they're not Russian. That the media, I guess, drummed up war with Russia, influenced the United States into getting into an increasingly violent posture with Russia, which... because, Putin's anxious about NATO, he had to attack. And this, of course, is so we can sell weapons and toilet paper ads on the news. And Joe Biden had to be forced into doing what he always said his plan was.
Broadly supportive of war, and pundits that are supportive of war, and the cold, hard facts that 90% of coverage in those 3 publications that is broadly representative of the mainstream media was explicitly pro-war to make any...
No. Oh, no, fucko. You don't get to just gish gallop past that. They weren't pro-war. That wasn't even the assertion by Mint Press. It was that they were hawkish about it. Meaning, for some reason, and you'll have to figure this out, Russell. You're the big thinker here. But apparently, there's not a giant consensus for letting Vladimir Putin rape Ukraine. I don't know why that would be. I don't know why there isn't a giant bus you can jump on that says, is the rape and murder of a country and its citizens by a warlord posing as a modern leader, is that too big a price to pay so that we can have cheap gas? The assertion here is fucking disgusting.
Connection between...
And what's worse than the assertion is the illusion that this dipshit is making that he's not making an assertion. This constant, I'm not saying, I'm just asking questions. This is alternative points of view. No, it isn't. You are asserting that what is written in the Mint Press's opinion piece is true, and that the title is that the Russians don't want war, meaning, I guess, including Vladimir Putin, but specifically him. And the NATO and the West goaded him into it to sell toilet paper and Stinger missiles. Get fucked, you clown.
Facts would make you a conspiracy theorist. But that's just what I think.
No, it doesn't make you a conspiracy theorist. It makes you a pig. There is no conspiracy here. Even the paper he's citing doesn't allege that. They're just assuming the worst in every human involved, and that because the majority of the people writing about this are like, fuck, this is going to happen. We got to do something. And the vast variety of options in a reality that everyone was confronting, the volume of them, we got to do something. It's probably going to involve lethal aid. We have to support the Ukrainians because they're going to get fucked if this starts, because this is in February when this article got put out, even though he's putting this out now as if it's current, like we're trying to ratchet up to a nuclear war. So he's creating the illusion on purpose. Again, this is not about conspiracy theory. He's concocting a mentality and selling it to you, or to his viewers anyways, not to you guys, but to his viewers, that this article is about now, and that the talk about sending troops in that they were discussing in the region really means Ukraine, and that means no-fly zone, and we're trying to ratchet this up and create nuclear war. And apparently we want a nuclear war because it will sell ads for Walmart, which is fucking goonish and weird anyways.
You think? Let me know in the comments below what you think.
Here's what I think. Fuck you. I think Russell Brand is a fucking tick, is what I think. The irony that this all started off of his video about bloodsuckers, this is fucking terrible. From the same assholes who wrote this, by the way. And we'll cover this one at a later date, because I've moved into my studio. My brand new rich studio, where I've even got a picture of my wood that will never change, because it's not the actual fucking window. I mean, this is a set. If you want to talk about 1984 and fucking bullshit branding, this is it. Why the fuck does his studio have to look exactly like a more rustic view from his bullshit super mansion? Right? That's sales. Russell, explain yourself. The fuck is that?
A conspiracy theory?
Sorry, I'm gonna start. Yeah, it's not a conspiracy theory. I'm just drafting this bullshit up. But anyway, so he put up this is fucking terrifying from these people, and he's telling the story about how America's blood is now worth more than all exported corn or soy products that cover vast areas of the country's heartland. This is harvesting the blood of America's poor. This is exports increased to over 13%, 28.6. Between 2016 and 2017, the plasma market is projected to grow radiantly. Golden liquid that transports proteins and red blood cells around. What do you mean? This is lymph. Consciously target the poorest and most desperate Americans. Oh, they target them by paying for blood, you mean? But in order to generate such enormous profits, they just go after the poor people. So people donate blood for money, which has been around for fucking ever. Around 70% of donors experience health complications. Donors have lower protein count in their blood. So don't donate blood is the message of Russell Brand and the Mint Press. Fuck this dude, and fuck his 1984 version of his
I like wood.
Tucker Carlson set.
Deeper and longer.
I mean, he might as well just move into fucking Fox Nation at this point. I should use this as my background, right? Nope. Ugh, so awful. Dave, all of a sudden people have noticed what a fucking evil whack job I am, and now they're coming to do hit pieces on me because I'm famous for being in movies, and I've got 5 million subscribers, and people are actually listening. It's like Hassan. Nobody gave a fuck about Hassan until he got enough subscribers, and then they're like, wait a minute, this dude says that America deserved 9/11, and the people who died were collateral damage, who had it coming. They don't write articles about me until I get to the point where I have a huge reach and I'm saying something particularly awful. Why don't all the news media people do stories about, dudes wandering down the street, screaming obscenities and racist comments at people while flinging shit? Well, because it's local news. That's why. So anyways, ugh. Sorry, I had to tack that one on at the end, and it was a long one. But I had to get it out of my system. Because he's just basically a delivery system. And now I want to know, and I want to ask him if Mint Press or any of these other sites, if he's a paid contributor. If they pay him to do articles. And I'll do a deep dive into that group myself. And I don't know why their study was promised to me, and yet not. So, peace. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you for the radio show tomorrow. House Parks Radio program, Mega Worldwide, on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. I'm on at 9 a.m. Pacific time, 9 to 11. And hopefully Philip will be able to be a guest with us on the second hour. And it'll be me and Johnny Million and news stories of the week and all that kind of stuff. And I appreciate you guys being here. And I will see you guys later. I'm going to go feed my girlfriend.